Hello Barmy Badger Army, welcome to today's show. Now, obviously I don't usually have the confidence to do these types of videos with the reviews, but I thought why not? We've played Erica quite a few times on the channel now. If you haven't seen those, please feel free to watch back the streams. And of course, I thought it was now time to do a review on it. Now, I may blumble and faff about and not really understand what I'm talking about, but I am going to give it a go because we played it, I think, about 3 times on the channel, and I've played it twice off the streams. So I thought, why not give it a go? That's like nearly 4 or 5 times in total. Now, I want to talk about the cast first of all. I thought it was a very good cast. I'm terrible because I tried to learn their names and I didn't remember, I'm being honest. But I thought the person who played Erica was fantastic. The person who played like the cop was great. The boss of the care home was very intimidating, quite scary. And of course the friends were interesting. My favourite friend out of all of them would be Toby. So big props to the actress who played Toby, because I thought that was a really interesting piece of work there, how they managed to do the whole thing, the arguments with the smoking, all the different things that happened there with the secret rooms and things like that. I'm trying not to obviously spoil too much because I do recommend playing this game. I really like the idea of the secret passageways and things like that. And that gets on to a different point. I think I would have absolutely loved it if they'd have made more of those secret passages. I think there's like 3 or maybe 4 in total. One of them's inactive. If they'd have made the 4th one active and go to a special room, I thought that would have been fantastic. And I think that's where they went slightly wrong there, was that they could have maximised the potential of that and really made it really freaky. Some of the stuff, you know, it feels like you're only touching the surface. Even if you get all the achievements, it still feels like you're only really touching the surface of the mystery. Like it could definitely do with like a DLC or some sort of prequel or something to explain more. It feels like you're scratching at a universe that needs more to it. You know, I'd have loved to have seen a bit more of Erica's childhood, some of her powers maybe working a bit more. Because obviously there's a bit of a paranormal edge to it. I'm not going to explain too much, but obviously, you know, there's a bit of a paranormal edge to Erica. And if they'd have explained that maybe even a tiny bit more, or maybe we could have seen a little bit more of that, that would have been great. I really love the flowers. I thought that was very haunting. Something very pretty has been turned into something quite spooky there. So I thought that was really good. But yeah, I think like the acting was on point. I've played some FMVs where the acting has been totally shocking. I mean, all you need to do is look at the Resident Evil, very first Resident Evil on PlayStation 1, that live action bit that they did at the start of that. Though obviously Resident Evil's not an FMV game, but the original had an FMV intro. That was shocking. And of course you got to look at Dracula on the Mega CD. Fun fact, one of the actors farted during filming and they kept it in. So obviously there is a high calibre of professionalism in here, and it feels like a feature film. It really does feel like a really interesting film, but it feels like we're scratching the surface. I've done most of the different options and I think I've got something like 56% achievement. Last time I streamed it, I only got 2 achievements because they're harder to get now. I had to purposely kill off a character to get an achievement. So these are the things you have to do if you want to try and bump up the ladder. And I actually left the whole cart, like the end of the game, alone because that was the only way to get the achievement. Even though it was a terrible ending, I wanted to get that. So I think there's a vast variety of different endings and things like that, and different ways to do things. And I think, you know, you certainly get your money's worth even if you buy it or got it on PlayStation Plus like myself. I think it was really good. And I think it was really good value for money. I know some people were like, what? But it's a really good little game. And I really recommend it. Like I was saying, the secret passages really add to it. The flowers, that obviously are interesting and they look beautiful, but I actually looked them up, Googled it, and they're actually highly poisonous. So the flowers that are in the game look really pretty, but they're a poisonous flower. Isn't that interesting? And they're all over the care home, or the place, you know, in general. And I really like the mystery of the tattoo, the cult. It would have been interesting to see how the cult work a bit more. Like, obviously it says that they're doing it for money and things like that. So it would have been interesting to see what they've, you know, done with that money. You know, is there anywhere else they're doing it? Things like that. There's so many things where they were like scratching at the surface of something really interesting. But obviously they wanted to keep it to a certain length. I mean, you know, I reckon that would have been about 5 or 6 hours if you'd have included all the things that I said about in there, you know. And I think, you know, I'd play it. I really would. I think The Quiet Man's about 3 hours long. And, you know, I think it's really interesting. Some of the FMVs I've played back in the past, like the Sherlock Holmes FMV on Mega CD and the Dracula one, you could be there for hours. You really could. Because it just carries on and on and on. And you have to chase around. And I never could complete that Dracula one. I don't know, it's a bit broken. Let me know if you've ever completed that, or if you've ever heard of it. But yes, at least with modern FMVs, there's a definite end. You know, with some of the ones on the Mega CD, if you didn't grab a specific thing at the start, or say a specific thing at the start, you get game over, even if you're playing for hours. So that's what I liked about it. It had a definite finish to it, and it had a definite storyline ending. And the same with Late Shift as well, and some of the other ones that they've done. The different companies, they had a definitive ending regardless of whatever you did. I don't know what the controversial Gamer Girl's going to be like. Apparently that is going to have game over screens. So that's going to be interesting if it saves it at a certain point and then you die, or something happens, you get kidnapped or something like that. I don't really know the details. It's all very sketchy because they took the trailer off of PlayStation Store, didn't they? Controversial. But I like Erica because it has a soul to it. It has a mystery to it. A lot of these other ones that were on the Mega CD, that wasn't there. There was something lacking. But with Erica, it feels like a film. It feels like a game. It feels like an interactive experience. The one thing I will say is that obviously there's not that much audience participation, unlike with Until Dawn and things like that, where you get a little bit more time to sort of help the audience choose, and some of the other ones the audience can help choose where it goes along. With Erica, there's not really enough time for that, and you are sort of bang, 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 bang. Whereas I like the ones where there's an element of audience participation, and I think the Complex has got that. I'll have to look it up, but hopefully we can get that at some point in the coming months. Now, there's lots of different things. Now, one thing I would absolutely adore to see in Erica would have been the don't move function from Until Dawn. Can you imagine it? I'm not going to do too many spoilers here. Obviously, this is really sketchy. Erica's in the home. She doesn't want to be seen. Can you imagine having to hold the controller, doing that? And then if you are seen, it takes you to one section. If you're not seen, it takes you to another. So then it can still go along the whole lines of not having a game over and things like that, but it could really change the story. So you could have to sit there on vast amounts of times. And there is times in the game as well where people catch you, when if you think they could have done a different scene if you'd have had the don't move function. So I quite like that idea. I think that would have really spiced it up. That's the one thing with the PlayStation 4 I have noticed that only the early games have used. I think there was like a dragon riding game ages ago when the PS4 first came out, and you used the analog sticks and you went up and down like that and sideways and sideways. I can't remember what that was called, but it seems like that's a bit of a forgotten mechanic in the controller now, or in the game in general, and I think that would be really great for FMVs. I think that's like a lost thing, but I'm going off track, and I'd really like to talk about Erica again. I don't know why I keep talking about other games, but I find really interesting comparing them and thinking what we could add in. Now, I really like the acting in it. I really like some of the different spooky things in there. Maybe a bit more paranormal stuff for Erica would have been great. I would have absolutely loved that. Maybe a bit more endings. Like, it seems like there's 3 main endings, and then you can bolt on extra things to those 3. So, to me, that means there's 3 endings and there's sort of slight variations. It says there's about 6 or 7, but there's not really, I don't think. There's about 3, and you can sort of bolt on different things that happen and get different achievements. So, I would give it a definite, 8 out of 10, because it's nearly perfect as an FMV, and it was really fun to play. And like I said, I think I've streamed it like 4 or 5 times now or something insane, and it's a really enjoyable game. People seem to really get involved. Some of the bits in it are really gross. There's a lot of gore in there, which I wasn't expecting, and it's quite interesting, and the special effects were good as well. Very realistic in certain points, unlike some of the old FMVs where, it looks supposedly gory and it looks really daft. So I think, it wins over there, and I really like the acting in it. I think it's a really good, solid game. The choices are very varied. I thought there was a lot of different choices, a lot of different things you could choose for different events. You had the choice of 3 different friends to befriend and go along the adventure with, and I thought that was interesting. And yeah, really cool stuff. And I think some of the different things, I don't even think I've unlocked everything, because I haven't got 100%. I'm up to about 50. So there's still a few bits and pieces there I can unlock as well. And maybe I'll bring it back in the future. But I am looking forward to seeing what this company do next. Whether or not we'll get some sort of expanded universe, that'd be great, because I think Erica's fight isn't quite over. It'd be interesting to see what happens if she didn't escape and things like that. There's a few different endings that could be explored more, and I'd love to see some sort of DLC or something like that. I've rambled on way too much. I hope you guys enjoyed this ramble about Erica, and I hope you guys have got an interesting opinion and talk to me about it in the comments below. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Thanks for watching, guys. See you later. Bye!